The pounding started just before dusk. Not loud, not steady, just enough to make the blacksmith's wife step back from the basin and dry her hands on her apron without realizing she'd stopped breathing. The knock came again. Then the voice. "Please." She opened the door just wide enough to see the girl, barefoot, torn dress, hands dripping red. Not her own blood. That much was clear. The girl didn't look injured, just wet with it, like she'd caught it from the trees. The wife reached out. "Inside. Now." "I didn't." "Inside." She pulled her in, slammed the door, and bolted it before the wind could speak of it. The girl stood in the entry like a deer about to break. The blood on her fingers had begun to dry at the edges, crusted dark. "Sit," the wife said. The girl didn't move. "Sit or I'll wash you standing up." The girl sat. The chair creaked. "Who's chasing you?" "No one." "Then why the blood?" The girl blinked. "Don't know." The wife knelt beside her, dipped a rag in the water still warm from dishes. She touched the girl's knuckles like handling glass. "This is yours." "No." "Whose?" Silence. The wife gripped the girl's wrist tighter. "Whose?" The girl didn't answer, but she didn't pull away either. From outside came the sound of boots on gravel. The wife dropped the rag, moved to the window, pulled the curtain just enough to see. Neighbor boy, just walking, but his eyes scanned the porch. She hissed low. "You come out here bleeding like that, they'll say you killed a hog or worse." "I didn't kill anything." "Doesn't matter. You smell like guilt." "I didn't." The wife turned fast. "What's your name?" "Don't have one." "You got one, just hiding it." The girl looked away. "You got a husband." The wife paused. "Yes." "He's gonna be mad." "Yes." Silence stretched between them like old wood. The wife handed her a clean rag. "Washington, quick." The girl scrubbed without flinching, hands, arms, even behind the ears. When she was done, the water looked like meat had soaked in it too long. The wife dumped the basin into the dirt out back. I watched it sink, buried the sight before it could be seen. Inside again, she lit the lantern low. "Are you hungry?" "Yes." "Say please." "Please." The wife broke bread, handed it over. The girl bit fast, then slower, like remembering manners she'd forgotten. "What's out there?" the wife asked. The girl didn't answer. "Woods don't bleed people." "I know." "So what did?" The girl looked up, lips red with crumbs. "It wasn't a man. Animal." "No." "Spirit." The girl swallowed. "Wasn't a man." The wife leaned closer. "You bring it with you?" "No." "Swear." "I think it followed anyway." The wife stepped back. She pressed both palms to the table like she needed it steady. "I don't have time for riddles." "It's not a riddle." "Then what is it?" The girl dropped her eyes. "Something is wrong." "That much I gathered. I just needed to get out." "From where?" The girl's voice dropped. "It lived with me." The wife turned, grabbed a blanket from the rocker, draped it over the girl's shoulders. "You sleep here tonight." "Why?" "Because if I leave you out there, I'll hear your screams in my dreams." "You believe me?" "No." "Then why help?" The wife paused. "Because I did once." The girl blinked. "Did what?" "Came out of the woods, covered in someone else's blood." The girl stared. The wife didn't explain. She just lit another candle and locked the door again, slower this time. "You'll stay quiet?" "Yes." "No wandering?" "No." "No lies?" "I'll try." "Don't try. Just don't." The girl nodded. A gust of wind rattled the shutters. Somewhere a hound barked once and stopped. The wife watched the girl eat the last of the bread. "Tomorrow," she said, "I'll figure what to call you." "You pick." "I found you. That makes you mine for now." The girl didn't smile, but something loosened in her shoulders. "Thank you," she said. The wife blew out the lantern. "Don't thank me. Not yet." She moved to the rocker, sat, eyes still on the girl. In the dark, the girl whispered, "Do you think I'm bad?" The wife rocked once. "No," she said, "but whatever's on your hands, it's not done yet." The girl didn't speak again. The rocker creaked once more, then stopped. Silence stretched, held between them like something sacred or afraid. And outside, the wind kept moving through trees that once held secrets, and now watched a new one begin. The door opened slowly, like it didn't want to. The blacksmith stepped inside without looking up, boots dragging soot across the floor. He smelled of smoke and iron, face half-shadowed under his brim. His hammer thudded onto the table before he did anything else. Then he saw her. The girl didn't move, just sat where she'd been told, hands folded now, clean. But something in her still looked bloody. His voice didn't rise, didn't have to. "Who's that?" The wife didn't stand. "She's staying." "She stays." "She stays." Silence hung between them. The hammer didn't move. Neither did he. "You let her in?" "I did." "You fed her?" "I did." His jaw flexed. "Why?" "She needed it." He looked back at the girl. "Name?" She didn't answer. "She doesn't talk?" "She does. When she wants." His hand hovered over the hammer, not gripping it, just close. "You bring trouble." The girl blinked. "No." "You sure?" She nodded. He grunted, turned to the shelf, poured himself water, drank like he'd been hauling anvils all day. Then he spoke again. "You know who's missing?" "I don't," she said. "Sheriff came by the forge, said a girl ran off, blood on her, no shoes." The wife's gaze didn't shift. "Lots of girls in this county." He nodded. "Few covered in blood, though." The girl stared at her lap. He sat slow, as if his joints protested. The chair creaked beneath him. His eyes never left the girl's face. "Are you afraid of me?" She didn't answer. "Good." He cracked his neck. "Means you ain't stupid." The wife spoke low. "You don't need to scare her." "I'm not trying." "You're doing it anyway." He looked at his wife. For a second, something passed. Something old, not cruel, but heavy. "Are you sure about this?" "I am." "Do you trust her?" "No." "Then why?" The wife didn't blink. "Because she knocked." Outside, the wind rattled the porch gate. The lantern they kept by the well swayed, throwing long shadows across the room. The blacksmith leaned forward. "You don't knock unless you want to be heard." She did. People running don't usually want to be heard. The girl finally looked up. Her voice was soft. "I didn't run. I walked." He studied her. "That right?" She nodded. "From where?" She shrugged. "Don't remember." "Convenient." The wife cut in. "She's staying the night. That's final." His hand tapped the table once. "One night." The wife stood. "Number she stays as long as she needs." He scoffed. "Are you planning to raise her like a stray?" "She's not a stray." "Then what is she?" The girl answered. "Cold." He looked at her again, longer this time. "Are you smart with your mouth?" "Only when people ask questions." He cracked a smile that didn't last. "You got dirt under your nails." "I cleaned them." "Not well enough." The wife moved between them. "Stop picking." He sighed, sat back. "Fine." The girl didn't flinch. She stared straight at the hammer. He noticed. "You know what that is?" She nodded. "Tell me." "A hammer." "Not just any. That's mine. I shape iron with it, build with it, mend with it." She said nothing. "You know what else it does?" The wife raised her voice. "Enough." The girl spoke before he could. "It kills." Silence. He leaned back, folding his arms. "Maybe you're not stupid after all." She shrugged. "Don't need to be smart to survive." The wife crossed her arms. "That's enough tests. You're not the sheriff. Someone needs to be." She looked out of the window, then back. "Speak to him, and he comes." A faint glow moved down the road. The blacksmith rose fast, pushing the chair back. "That is Lantern." "Looks like." "You invited him?" "No." The glow moved slowly, deliberately. The wife locked the door. "Don't answer." "I wasn't planning to." The girl stood up. "He saw me." "Not here he didn't." The wife turned to her. "Get upstairs." The girl paused. "Now." She went, steps soft, barely creaking the wood. The blacksmith watched the road. "He's not just passing." "I know." "What are we hiding, exactly?" "Something that bleeds." "That could be anything in this house." "Then we're used to it." He glanced up the stairs. "Is she dangerous?" "Don't know yet." "You scared?" "Yes." He nodded. "Then we keep her." The lantern glow slowed by the fence, lingered, then moved on. They didn't speak for a while. Finally, he picked up the hammer, wiped it with his sleeve. "The table's got a crack in it," he muttered. "I'll fix it tomorrow." The wife didn't move. He set the hammer down softer this time. "You feed her?" "I did." "Save me some." "No." "Figured." He lit the second lantern. The girl's footsteps creaked above. "I'll make her work," he said. "If she's staying." "She will. No favors, no stories, just work. She can earn her keep." He nodded. "Long as she knows she's not family." The wife turned toward the stairs. "Then don't treat her like a stranger." He didn't answer. Outside, the sheriff's glow was gone, but it hadn't passed by accident, and the hammer still sat on the table, quiet now, but not forgotten. The knock didn't come. The door just opened. The sheriff stepped in like the house belonged to him. Dust on his boots, mud at the hem of his coat, one hand resting too casually on the grip of his belt. Not the gun, just the belt. Like he wanted to be remembered for what hung there. He didn't smile. "Evening." The blacksmith stood first. "Didn't invite you." "You don't need to." The sheriff's voice was flat, carried weight by the silence it cut through. "Law walks where it pleases." The girl sat still in the corner, back against the far wall. She didn't run, didn't speak. The wife didn't move from the kitchen. Her hand never left the knife beside the cutting board. "What do you want?" "Looking for someone." "Try the saloon." "Don't drink." "Then try the chapel. They got more lost souls than we do." He looked at her. "Not looking for a soul, just a body." The blacksmith didn't blink. "You see one here?" "Maybe." The sheriff took another step in. "Word is, a girl came out of the woods. Blood on her. Spooked a farmer's mule 3 roads down." "Wasn't she?" the blacksmith said. The sheriff looked past him. His gaze landed on the girl. He stared too long. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She didn't answer. The wife stepped forward. "She doesn't have to tell you." The sheriff turned to her. "Every soul here's got a name." "Then maybe you lost yours," the wife said. He smiled, just barely. "Still wear it on my chest." He tapped the badge. The girl lowered her eyes. The sheriff stepped closer. "You run from somewhere?" He asked her. She didn't speak. "Someone hurt you?" No answer. "You hurt someone." The blacksmith's voice cut through. "That's enough." The sheriff ignored him. "Do you speak at all?" The wife said, "You're not here to interrogate. I'm here to find the truth." "You always find it in girls' faces?" "Only the ones hiding something." She stepped in front of the girl. "Then look at me instead." The sheriff didn't blink. "I know you, Anna. I know how you used to run. Know what you were before you married into this forge. That part of me's dead. Maybe, or maybe you're just waiting to bring it back." The blacksmith's hand twitched toward the hammer again. "You're not here for her." "I'll decide that." He turned back to the girl. "Last chance. Tell me your name, or I take you in as Jane Doe and let the cells figure it out." The wife didn't move. "She's not going." "She's not yours." "She is now." "Are you sheltering a suspect?" "I'm sheltering a child." "Then we got a problem." The blacksmith stepped forward. "Number we don't." The sheriff looked him over. "You think she's innocent?" "I think she's not your business anymore. She crossed a line coming here." The girl finally spoke, soft and cracked. "I didn't mean to." The room went still. The sheriff leaned closer. "Didn't mean to what?" She looked at the fire. "Get seen." He raised his chin. "But you were." "I didn't know anyone was watching." "Everyone watches when there's blood." The wife put a hand on the girl's shoulder. "She's tired, cold. She won't talk to you tonight." "She just did." "Not to you, to the room." He tilted his head. "That's how it works now?" The blacksmith said, "It does in this house." The sheriff stood silent for a moment. Then he reached into his coat, pulled out his badge. Not the one pinned to his chest. Another. A spare. He placed it flat on the table. "What's that?" the blacksmith asked. "A reminder." "Of what?" The sheriff's smile faded. "Of how close I am." Then he turned to leave. The wife called after him. "What'll you tell them?" He didn't look back. "Nothing. For now." The door shut softer than it had opened, but the air felt heavier once he was gone. The girl's breath came fast now, shallow. She wiped her palms on her skirt. "He'll come back," she said. "Yes," the wife said. "He will." The blacksmith sat down hard. The badge on the table caught firelight, shimmered like something alive. "You believe her now?" the wife asked him. He didn't answer. "She's in it deep," the wife said. "And now we are too." "I never asked for that." "I didn't either, but she came." The girl whispered, You can send me away." "No," the wife said. "You should." "No." The blacksmith looked at her. "You bring this down on us. You take it with you." The wife stared at him. "Number." "She stays." He said nothing. The wife picked up the badge and held it, then dropped it into the coals. The metal hissed, flared, then dulled. The girl flinched. "You do that to a badge," she said. "They don't forgive it." "They never forgave me anyway," the wife replied. The girl looked up. "Why?" "Because I used to be you." The fire crackled between them. The forge hummed low. Outside, no sound came from the road, but they all felt the echo of footsteps that hadn't yet returned. Inside, three sat in silence, not broken, just waiting. And the badge, somewhere in the ashes, still glowed hot like a warning no one could quite forget. The house didn't sleep. The blacksmith tossed once, then stilled. The girl curled on the rug near the fire, blanket tight around her, eyes open but pretending. Only the wife moved, slow, barefoot, quiet as memory. She carried no candle. I knew the steps by weight, avoided the creaks, climbed the narrow stair to the attic with both hands pressed to the walls, like the house might swallow her if she let go. The door groaned at the top, not loud, just enough to feel like warning. She stepped inside. Dust thickened the air. She hadn't been up here in years, not since the funeral, not since the priest said words he didn't mean, and the box lowered without breath inside it. The attic smelled of heat, wood rot, and something older. She moved through crates, old cloth, jars with rusted lids. Then she saw it, a shape under canvas. She didn't breathe. Her hands lifted before she meant them to. Fingers trembled only once. She pulled back the cloth. The cradle sat still, white wood dulled to yellow, carved moons at the headboard, same one he made for their baby. She asked him to burn after the burial. It shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be whole. She stepped back, hit the beam behind her. Then she saw the blanket inside, not folded, not clean, nested, and then movement. She froze. She leaned closer. Inside, a baby slept, not swaddled, just curled, small fists tucked under its chin, chest rising. It looked just like him, the one she lost. Same brow, same mouth. She reached out, then pulled back. "No." The whisper came from behind her. The girl stood in the doorway, barely visible, eyes wide and calm. "He told me to bring you here." The wife's voice cracked. "Who?" The girl didn't answer. The wife turned back to the cradle. "What is this?" "I don't know." "This isn't mine." The girl didn't speak. The wife's hands shook. "I buried him. I saw them lower him down." "You saw a box," the girl said. "No." "You saw a priest and a hole and a man who cried after you left." "No." The girl stepped closer. "Have you ever seen the grave again?" The wife said nothing. The baby stirred. Fingers twitched. Lips sucked at air. The girl whispered, "He said you'd remember when you saw his face." The wife's knees gave out. She sank beside the cradle, one hand bracing against the floor. "This isn't real." The girl sat down beside her. "He said you used to hum to him." "I didn't." "You did." "Under your breath, when you rocked him." The wife reached out and gripped the side of the cradle. "He died." The girl didn't reply. Tears came before words. The wife covered her mouth, sobbed low. The girl touched her shoulder. "Maybe part of him did, but not all. That's not how it works. Maybe here it is." The wife looked up. "Did you bring him?" "No." "Then how?" "I found him." "Where?" "In the woods." "You're lying." "I'm not." "You expect me to believe he just survived?" "I don't expect anything." The wife shook her head. "Why now?" "Because he said it's time." "Who said that?" The girl looked at the baby. "Him." The wife blinked hard. "He's a baby. He remembers." "That's not possible." The girl didn't argue. The wife turned back to the child. "He's breathing." "Yes." "He's warm." "Yes." She touched his cheek. The baby stirred, but didn't wake. The wife pulled the blanket higher. "How long's he been here?" "Since you brought me in." "No one heard." "No." "No one cried." "Some things wait quietly." The wife stared at the cradle. Her voice came rough. "Why did you come?" "To finish something." "What?" "I don't know." The wife wiped her face. "You're just a girl." "I was. Then I met him." The wife turned fast. This is madness. I know. You know nothing. I know your hands shake every night before you sleep. I know you whisper to the walls. I know you stare at a grave that isn't there. The wife stood. Stop. The girl stayed sitting. You left part of yourself behind. He came to find it. The wife clutched her chest. Downstairs, a floorboard groaned. The blacksmith. She looked toward the stairs. He can't see this. He will. No. He already has. Just not clearly. The baby opened his eyes. The wife gasped. Hazel, like hers. No doubt now. She dropped to her knees again. The girl whispered, What do you want to do? The wife whispered back, I want to wake up. The girl nodded. Then hold him. I can't. You have to. The wife reached into the cradle. The baby looked up. No cry, just breath and heat and weight. She held him. Her arms folded around him like memory rediscovered. He nestled into her chest. And for the first time in years, she breathed without pain. The girl stood. He's not what you lost. He's what you left. The wife didn't speak. The girl walked back toward the stairs. You coming? The girl asked. The wife whispered, Not yet. She rocked. Back and forth. The cradle stayed empty. The attic is silent. But in her arms something old stirred. Something she'd buried too deep to forget and too soon to let go. The cradle creaked, slow, steady, soft as a heartbeat. The wife rocked it with both hands wrapped around the edge, like letting go might break the spell. This can't be real. It is, the girl said. The wife shook her head. He was buried. The girl stepped closer. Not all of him. The wife's voice cracked. Don't do that. The girl's eyes stayed calm. He's yours. The baby breathed slowly, fists curled near his mouth. No crying, just there, warm and solid and impossible. Downstairs, the blacksmith's boots hit the floor hard. The girl whispered, You didn't tell him? No. The attic door opened fast. The blacksmith's voice thundered up. Anna! She flinched, then stood, shielding the cradle with her back. He climbed halfway up. Why is she up here? No reason. Then why lie? The girl didn't move. The blacksmith reached the top and froze. He saw the cradle, saw the baby. What is that? The wife tried to speak, failed. His voice sharpened. Whose child is that? The girl answered. Yours. He stared at her like she'd grown horns. Explain that, he said. The wife stepped forward. She brought him. From where? She says the woods. He scoffed. The woods. The girl nodded. They kept him. That's not a place. It is. Just not for you. The blacksmith grabbed the edge of the cradle and yanked the blanket back. He stared at the child. His hand dropped. No. The wife said, He looks like he's not ours. He is. He spun on her. You think I'm a fool. I think he's ours and I don't care how. He pointed at the girl. She's playing you. She brought him here. She brought something. The girl said, The woods don't give what isn't owed. He turned to her. You think you're clever. I think I'm right. He stepped closer. You bury a child, it stays buried. Not if the ground spits it back. The wife grabbed his arm. Stop. His voice dropped low. This is a trick. She said nothing. He stepped back, breathing hard. This house is cursed, he muttered. I should have known. The girl tilted her head. Maybe it was never the house. The baby stirred. The wife leaned over, picked him up. He nestled into her neck. You believe this? The blacksmith asked. I feel it. You feel crazy. Maybe. He paced the edge of the attic, eyes darting. He died, Anna. We put him on the ground. No. You saw the grave. I saw a hole. You saw a priest. I saw a lie. The girl whispered, You saw what you needed to survive. He turned. And what about now? The wife answered, Now I see him. The baby whimpered. The blacksmith stared. And what am I supposed to do? Look. He looked. He didn't speak. The baby went quiet again. The wife rocked him slowly like she had never stopped. Downstairs, a draft blew the lantern wick. The room darkened. The girl stepped toward the stairs. I should go, she said. The wife asked, Where? I don't know. You said he told you to come. He did. Then stay. I wasn't meant to. The blacksmith barked. You think you can walk in with a child and leave like nothing happened? I didn't walk in. He called me. To do what? To bring her back to him. The baby moved against the wife's chest. You think this is a story? The blacksmith said. I think it's a memory. The girl answered. I just carried it. He looked at the wife. She's mad. The wife said, she's not. He paced. This ends now. No, this can't be. It is. He stared at the baby again, and something changed in his face. If that's ours, then where's the one we buried? The girl looked at him. Asked the sheriff. The attic went silent. The wife whispered, Why him? The girl said, He never wanted you to look again. The blacksmith's jaw tightened. He oversaw the burial. He oversaw the lie. The wife stepped back. No. He marked the box. No. He handed you the death papers. The wife gasped. The blacksmith said, What are you saying? The girl didn't answer. Downstairs, the candle flickered. Its light caught something on the table. The sheriff's badge, still warm from the fire, still whole. The wife whispered, He left it on purpose. The girl nodded, because he knew. The blacksmith sank onto the edge of the attic floor. I watched that man hold you while you cried. He held me, the wife said, so I wouldn't look inside. The baby stirred. The girl moved toward the ladder. I need to go. You brought him here, the wife said. I brought what was his. Then stay. The girl looked down. If I stay, the sheriff comes. He's coming anyway. The girl said nothing. The blacksmith watched the cradle. I hammered that myself, he said. Carved the moons. The wife rocked gently. He still fits. The baby cooed softly. The blacksmith stood. He didn't touch the child, but he stood near. He's warm, he whispered. The girl said, He remembers. The wife looked at her. Do you? The girl said, More than I want. Outside, a dog barked once, then nothing. Inside, 3 people stood around a child who had never left, not really. And in the corner, the sheriff's badge gleamed under fading light, bright enough to remind, dull enough to threaten. The blacksmith slammed the door behind him so hard the wall shook. He grabbed the iron tongs without gloves, bare hands steady from rage alone. The forge had gone cold. He kicked the bellows into life. Flames snapped away, clawing at the dark. Iron bar in hand, he shoved it into the coals like it had sinned. Upstairs, the baby let out a single cry. He ignored it. He pumped the bellows again. Liar, he hissed under his breath. Thief. Witch. The metal began to glow. Footsteps behind him, soft ones. I said don't follow, he barked. The wife didn't answer. He turned, sweat already on his brow. You believe she brought him back? Silence. You think that's him? Still nothing. He yanked the iron from the fire, slapped it against the anvil. The ring echoed through the house like a scream. She's playing you, using you. The wife folded her arms. Then why does he have your hands? He froze. You looked, she said. That child's dead. He's not. He struck the iron. You buried him. You never let me see the body. He hit it again. You think some girl from the woods walked a ghost into my house. I think you're scared. He raised the hammer. Of what? That I'm right. He drove it down. Sparks flew across the forge floor, little stars with nowhere to land. The baby cried again. The wife looked up. He hears you. Then he hears the truth. She stepped forward. Truth isn't always loud. He gritted his teeth. That thing upstairs isn't mine. You said the same thing about me once. He spun. Don't start. You did. When we lost him, you said I wasn't yours anymore. He turned back to the fire. You stopped being the woman I married. I had no child left to be her for. He pounded the iron hard. She stepped beside him. The fire lit half his face, twisted his features like the heat wanted to melt the lies out of him. She whispered, You didn't check the grave. He didn't move. You let the sheriff handle it. He didn't speak. She stared at the metal. What are you making? Nothing. Then why are you here? He dropped the hammer. It clanged, rolled, stopped by her foot. He looked at her. Because if he's real, then I failed him. She said nothing. I let a man put my son on the ground. Never saw his face. Never held him after. She whispered. I did. He blinked. Before the lid closed, I begged the priest, just a minute, just a look. And he was cold, but he didn't smell like death. He wiped his hands. I don't know what that means. It means I never stopped wondering. He sat hard on the bench by the coals. They told us it was a fever, said he passed in the night. You believed them. I needed to. The fire popped. Upstairs, the crying stopped. Did you touch him? She asked. No, not once. I was scared. Of what? That I'd break. She turned. I did break. Still am. He nodded once. Maybe I liked it better when we were certain. She whispered, certainty is a kind of death. He stared at the flames. So what now? She picked up the hammer, placed it back on the anvil. We raise him. Again. He rubbed his face. What if he's not ours? We make him ours. His voice dropped. What if he remembers what we did? She paused. Then we teach him what we didn't. He looked at the door. The sheriff's watching. Let him. You want a war. I want a child to live in his own name. The forge crackled like it agreed. He stood, walked to the bucket, doused the iron. Steam hissed. The baby let out a soft whimper. She turned toward the stairs. He grabbed her wrist. You still think I buried the wrong child? I think you never buried yours at all. He let go. She stepped back, then stopped. What? He asked. She pointed. The sheriff's badge. It had been tossed on the dirt shelf, half covered in ash. But now it sat dead center on the bench, polished, gleaming. He whispered, You move it? No. He picked it up. It was warm, too warm. She stepped back. It hears us. The fire dimmed just a little. The baby upstairs cooed. The girl's voice floated down from above. He knows who you are. The blacksmith looked toward the ceiling. I don't know who I am anymore. The girl replied, Then become someone better. He looked at his wife. She nodded. The badge stayed in his hand, heavy now. But for the first time, it didn't feel like law. It felt like debt. The wife sat at the table, hands wrapped around a cold cup, staring through steam that wasn't there. The house was too quiet. No hammer from the forge, no coo from the baby upstairs. Even the girl, who usually moved like a breath, was nowhere to be heard. Then something slid beneath her fingers. Paper. A folded letter. She looked down, slow. The paper was yellowed, soft at the creases. Familiar. She turned it over. Her name was written on the front, in her own handwriting. She didn't touch it right away, just stared, like it might vanish if she blinked. The girl stood across the room, watching. Where'd you get this? The girl didn't speak. The wife picked it up, unfolded it. The words inside were hers. The slope of the R, the stubborn slant at the end of each line, the last sentence blurred. Then the date. The same day the baby died. She stood up too fast. The chair scraped back. Who gave this to you? The girl's voice didn't waver. You did. Her hands shook. I never. You will. The wife took a step back. Number, this isn't real. It is. This isn't mine. It is. You're lying. The girl stepped forward. You wrote it. You sealed it. You told me to wait until it was time. I never met you before. You haven't yet. The wife dropped the letter on the table like it burned. She stared at the words. If he ever comes home, give him back to me. I won't ask why or how. Just give him back. Anna. Her own name, her own ink, but she remembered none of it. You forged this, she said. The girl shook her head. The wife turned away, clutching her arms. Number, this is a trick. The girl's voice softened. You've forgotten things to survive. This is one of them. I'd remember writing that. Not if it hurts too much. The wife turned back. Why would I write this? Because you knew something wasn't right. The wife stared at the letter again. I remember that morning, she whispered. The priest was late. The coffin was light. The girl nodded. You said it didn't feel like wood, said it felt hollow. The wife shook her head, but slowly now. I thought I was losing my mind. You were. She looked up. And you're telling me you've had this all along. Number, I found it under the floor. The wife's brow furrowed. Where? The girl pointed. The wife walked to the hearth, dropped to her knees. She pried up the loose board with her nails. Beneath the plank, dust. A small space, empty, except for wax. Ceiling wax. Same shade as the letter in her hand. She stood slowly. How long's it been there? Since you needed it to be? The wife closed her eyes. He said it was a fever. He said the child passed quietly. And you believed him? No, she whispered. I didn't, not really. The girl stepped closer. He made you forget. The sheriff. She nodded. The wife held the letter tight. I don't understand any of this. You don't have to. Just remember. How can I remember something I never did? The girl touched her shoulder. You already are. The wife pulled away. This isn't possible. But it's happening. She looked at the girl. Are you from the woods? Yes. Are you from the past? No. Then what are you? The girl's voice was calm. A message. The wife stepped back. I don't want riddles. Then read the truth. The wife looked down, read the letter again. Slower this time. The signature. Her name. No denial left. She whispered, I wrote this. Yes. I sealed it. Yes. I was waiting for him. The girl nodded. And now he's here. The baby cried upstairs. The wife turned toward the sound. The floor creaked beneath her. The house felt different now, heavier, fuller, like something unfinished had stepped back in. The girl whispered, You knew you'd forget. That's why you left the letter. The wife closed her eyes. I knew. Yes. And now? The girl stepped back. Now you choose. Choose what? Whether to keep remembering. She looked down at the letter once more. Then I folded it, tucked it into her dress close to her chest. I won't forget again. The girl said, He's waiting. The wife walked toward the stairs. The girl stayed behind. The sheriff's badge still lay half-shadowed on the mantel, and the floorboard stayed loose, like truth was always meant to be pulled up, not walked on. The sheriff's horse came slowly through the dark, hooves muffled on the wet grass. No lanterns this time, just the shape of him, gliding past the trees like he'd always been there, waiting for the right hour to come close again. The girl saw him first. She was already outside, barefoot, eyes locked on the yard. The wife opened the door behind her. Why are you out here? The girl whispered. He's circling. The wife stepped beside her. The moon hung low, gold and sick. The sheriff didn't knock, didn't speak, just moved along the fence line like it belonged to him. The girl tugged her hand. Come with me. Where? She didn't answer. The girl led her across the yard, past the forge, past the trees, toward the thing the wife never looked at anymore, the old well. I learned it now. Stone chipped, rope frayed, cover warped with moss and time. Why are we here? The wife asked, heart racing. The girl placed a hand on the stones. He's still down there. The wife stopped cold. No. Yes. No. He wanted you to see. The wife took a step back. You're lying. The girl grabbed the rope. Then look away. She cranked the rusted handle. It groaned like it hadn't moved in years. The rope dropped. A splash echoed from below, deep and dull. The wife whispered, We sealed it. The girl didn't stop turning. You thought you did. The rope tugged. The girl turned the crank back, slow, careful. The bucket rose. The water inside shimmered, and in it, bone. Long, small, curved. The wife gasped and fell to her knees. No, no, she cried, handing over her mouth. The girl knelt beside her. It's not him. The wife's eyes filled. It's a child. It is. She shook her head, rocking. Then who? What? The girl placed the bucket down, water sloshing. They buried something, she said. Something to make you stop looking. The wife touched the bone with shaking fingers. It's real. Yes. They buried this in my place. They buried this for you, so you'd stop asking. The wife's voice cracked. This is murder. The girl nodded. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was grieving too loud. They made you quiet. Tears slid down the wife's face. I would have screamed louder. The girl looked toward the house. They counted on your silence. The sheriff's shape lingered by the forge now, watching, not hiding. The girl stood. He knows what we found. The wife stared at the bone. He put it there? Or helped someone who did? Why? To own you. The girl picked up the rope again, dropped the bucket back in. Let it sink. The wife looked up. Why are you showing me this now? Because you asked to remember. The wind shifted. The forge door slammed. The wife stood, legs unsteady. What happens now? We dig deeper. She wiped her eyes. I can't bury another child. You're not. You're unburying the truth. The sheriff moved closer to the porch, still didn't speak, but the message was clear. He wasn't leaving. The wife turned to the girl. How do we prove this? We don't. Then what? We show it. The girl picked up the bone, held it in the moonlight. Truth doesn't need to be proven, it just needs to be seen. The wife looked away. And if no one believes? They will, when you say it. The wife's voice cracked again. They'll say I lost my mind. The girl touched her hand. You did, but you came back. Behind them, the baby cried. The wife turned toward the sound. Her body still shook, but her hands curled into fists now. The girl lowered the bucket one more time, let it drift back into the dark. What else is down there? The wife asked. Enough. The girl wound the rope back up. Empty now. The wife stared into the well. He was never in there. No. I looked at that spot every day and never saw it. You weren't meant to. The wife stepped away. If I go inside and he's gone, he won't be. How do you know? Because you held him. The sheriff stepped onto the porch. The wife turned. He finally spoke. Evening. She didn't answer. He looked past her, eyes scanning the yard. You dig something up? The wife said nothing. The girl stepped forward. You buried something for her. The sheriff ignored her. Anna, you look pale. You all right? She took a breath. No. Do you need a doctor? No. He walked down one step. Then what do you need? She held the bone in her hand, letting the moon hit it. He stopped moving. You found that, he said. She nodded. Where? She didn't answer. Be careful, Anna. You don't know what people will say. I know what they buried. He pointed to the house. You sure you want to stir things up with a baby inside? I didn't stir this. You did. Silence stretched between them. He stepped off the porch. Are you making an accusation? No, she said. I'm making a promise. To who? To the one you forgot. The sheriff's face darkened. You don't want this fight. She turned toward the well. I think I've already had it. He hesitated, then backed away. Didn't say goodbye. Just vanished into the dark again. The girl walked to the wife's side. You ready? No. She turned toward the door. But I'm going in anyway. And together, they stepped back toward the house, leaving the old well open behind them. Waiting. The blacksmith was already out the door by the time the sheriff dismounted. He didn't wait for words. Just stormed across the yard, fists clenched, steps hard enough to shake dust from the porch beams. The sheriff barely had time to drop his reins. Easy now. You put her through this. The sheriff stood his ground. Watch your tone. You buried a child that wasn't ours. I buried what I was told to bury. The blacksmith shoved him. Hard. The sheriff staggered a step. You really want to start this out here? You already did. 20 years ago. I kept her safe. You kept her broken. The sheriff looked past him, saw the door wide open, the girl and the wife standing behind it, quiet, watching. You sure you want to do this in front of them? They deserve to hear it. The sheriff's hand drifted toward his hip, stopping short of his holster. You say one more thing, you can't walk back. She lost her mind because of you. I saved her mind. You saved your own skin. The sheriff's voice lowered. You're grieving something that has already rotted. I'm grieving the man I let talk over me. Let's carry my child's coffin with clean hands and a lying tongue. The wife stepped off the porch. I walked past them, stared hard at the sheriff's coat. She pointed. Ashes. The sheriff looked down. Gray flecks dusted his right sleeve. She whispered, You wore that same coat the night they said he died. Everyone wore ashes that night. No, she said. Only one man came late, smelling like smoke. I was helping put out the barn fire. The barn was cold by the time you got to me. The sheriff glanced down, brushed at the ashes like they didn't matter. The girl stepped forward. He lit the fire that night. The blacksmith turned to her. You sure? The girl didn't blink. He said it out loud once, to someone he didn't know I heard. The sheriff's face paled. She's lying. You said it, the girl repeated. Said you needed a distraction. Said the fire made everyone forget the missing body. The blacksmith looked at his wife. You remember what you smelled that night? She nodded, slow. Creosote. Not hay, not wood. Just fuel. The sheriff stepped back. You people want a ghost story. Go dig up your yard, but leave me out of it. You're already in it, the blacksmith said. The sheriff tried to mount his horse, but the blacksmith blocked him. You said you kept her safe, he growled. But she's been dying slowly ever since. The sheriff met his eyes. You think she would have made it if she saw the truth that night. The wife whispered, "You made that choice for me. I made sure you didn't shatter. You made sure I stayed quiet." The sheriff's voice cracked. "I carried that box for you, and you filled it with someone else." He didn't answer. The girl said, "You buried someone without a name, without a prayer." "I did what I was told." "By who?" The sheriff looked away. "Doesn't matter." "It does now," the wife said. The wind picked up, sending the ashes swirling off his coat. The girl stepped close. "You burned the barn. You swapped the body. You carried the lie like it was a badge." He looked down at the star pinned to his chest. For the first time, he unpinned it, held it in his hand. "I did what I thought was right." "You did what was easy," the blacksmith said. The sheriff looked at the girl. "What are you?" "Memory," she said. "Yours. Heron High." He looked up at the wife. "You want to punish me?" "I want to name what happened." "Then name it." She took a breath. "You stole a child. You buried a stranger in his place. You lit a fire to make sure no one asked questions." Silence. The sheriff held out the badge. "Then take it." She didn't. The girl did. She walked to the well, dropped it in. They waited for the sound. It never came. The sheriff mounted his horse, didn't speak again. He rode off slower than usual. No badge, no threat, just a man with ashes on his sleeve and silence on his back. The blacksmith wrapped an arm around his wife. She didn't cry. She just stared at the path the sheriff left behind. She didn't ask permission. She just took the shovel and walked out before dawn, when the wind was still and the trees hadn't begun whispering. The dirt beside the forge had always been off limits. He never let her plant there, never let her stand too close. Said the ground was bad, said the roots underneath made the tools rust. She'd believed him. Now she didn't. She stabbed the shovel into the hard-packed earth. It hit with a dull thud. Again. By the fifth strike, her hands ached. By the seventh, the blacksmith stood behind her. "Anna." She didn't stop. He stepped closer. "Put that down." She kept digging. He raised his voice. "I said stop." She turned, breath ragged. "What's down here?" "Nothing." She kept going. He grabbed the shovel. She yanked it back. "Move," she said. "You don't want this." "I already have it." "You don't know what you're digging into." She slammed the shovel deep. A soft sound followed. Different. Not stone. Not root. She dropped to her knees. Dug with her hands. Fingernails tore against rock and clay. Then cloth. Faded. Fragile. Blue and white thread woven in crooked stripes. She froze. Her hands lifted it gently, piece by piece. It was a baby's blanket, the one she'd sewn herself, the one she wrapped him in the night he got sick. She held it up, shaking. "You lied to me." He didn't move. "You buried it here." He nodded once. "Why?" His voice was low. "To keep you alive. You said he died in the night." "He did." "You said the sheriff handled the burial." "He did." "And this?" She waved the cloth. "This was supposed to be in that coffin. It wasn't. You watched me fall apart. You watched me forget my name. And you left this here. I saved you. By burying me too." He looked down. "I asked you if he felt cold. You said yes. I asked if he looked peaceful. You said yes. I said what you needed. I needed the truth. You needed to breathe." She stepped closer. "How long were you going to keep this buried?" "I didn't know." "Did you ever hold him before they took him?" His voice cracked. "No." "Then why pretend? I couldn't watch you fall. You let me fall anyway." She dropped the blanket. It landed in the dirt like a body. He reached for her arm. She pulled away. "Don't." "I thought the less you knew, the less you'd hurt." "I hurt every day." He knelt beside the grave, picked up the cloth. "I didn't know where else to put it. So you hid it from both of us." He nodded. "I felt crazy," she whispered. "All those years. I felt like something was missing, like I was haunted." "You were. By you." He pressed the cloth to his chest. "I couldn't bring him back. But you could have told me he never left." He looked up. "Would you have believed me?" "No," she said. "But I would have had a chance." A pause hung between them. "I'm sorry," he said. "Sorry, don't undo this." "I know." She knelt beside him, dug deeper with her hands. "No more secrets," she said. He helped her. Together they unearthed more cloth, a corner of a child's cap, a rusted pin, but no bones, just the things she thought she'd buried, the things that never reached the coffin. The forge behind them hissed as the wind shifted. She looked toward the house. "I'm telling him," she said. "He's too young." "I'm not talking about the baby." He understood. "The girl. She deserves to know." He nodded. "She brought him back, and we almost sent her away. She knew more than we did." They sat in the dirt for a long time. When the sun crested the trees, it lit. The blanket in her lap. She brushed the dust from it, folded it gently, and for the first time since the night she lost him, she didn't feel hollow. She stood. He stayed kneeling. "You coming?" she asked. He shook his head. "Not yet." She looked down at him. "Are you going to bury it again?" "No." "Then what?" "I'm going to sit with it. This time, I won't look away." She nodded and left him there, alone with the blanket, the grave, and the years he tried to erase. The house was quiet, too quiet, the kind of stillness that comes after the final page of something unread. The wife sat in the rocker, the blanket from the grave folded in her lap. The baby lay sleeping upstairs. The blacksmith hadn't come back in. She didn't blame him. The girl stood near the hearth, staring into the flames like they might show her face back. The wife broke the silence. "Say it." The girl didn't turn. "Say what?" "Your name." The girl swallowed. "You already know it." "I want to hear it." The girl turned slowly, eyes clear. "Mira." The wife's breath caught. "No." "Yes." "That was—" The girl nodded. "The name you gave him." The wife stood, fists clenched. "You were never told that." "I didn't need to be." "That's not possible." The girl stepped forward. "Touch me." "What?" "Touch me." The wife hesitated, then reached out, hand trembling. Her palm brushed the girl's cheek. Warm. Real. "Do you feel her?" the girl asked. The wife's voice broke. "I feel mine." The girl nodded once. "I've been trying to tell you. You're not a baby." "No." "You're a girl." Grown strange by the wood's keeping. The wife stumbled back a step. "This is madness." "It's true. You expect me to believe a forest raised you?" "Number, I expect you to believe that something returned me." The rocker creaked behind them. The wind rattled the porch. "You remember nothing of that night?" The wife asked. "I remember the smoke, cold, silence. I remember a coffin. I wasn't in it." The wife's voice sharpened. "Then where were you?" "In between." "Between what?" "Life and forgetting." The wife turned away. "You sound like a story." "I am." She looked back. "That name. How did you know?" "I heard you whisper it. In sleep, in pain. I heard you give it away." The wife blinked. "I did." Over and over. The blacksmith's boots thudded on the porch. He stepped inside, eyes heavy. "She told you?" he asked. The wife nodded. "She says she's him." "Mira." The girl said again. The blacksmith froze. "No." "Yes." "That's a lie." "It's not." "Your flesh and voice. He has bones and cloth." "No." The wife said quietly. "He wasn't." The girl stepped to the blacksmith. "You carried me in your arms. You never looked at my face." "You can't be." "I am." He turned to his wife. "This can't be." "Touch her." "No." "Please." He reached forward, hand hovering above her shoulder. Then I settled it. He stepped back fast. "She's warm. She's ours." He shook his head. "Number." "That's a trick." "She's not a trick," the wife said. "She's the echo that never left." The girl said, "I came back because you called me." "I never did," the blacksmith muttered. "You did," the wife said. "Every time you lit the forge." The girl stepped away from them, arms wrapped tight. "I didn't know I was a name until I heard you say it." The wife whispered, "And now I want to be kept." The wife stepped close. "You're not a memory. You're breathing." The girl looked up. "Then keep me." The wife wrapped her arms around her, tight, not in the past, but the living. The girl trembled. "Do you believe me now?" "Yes." The wife said. The blacksmith sat down hard at the table. "I don't know what to believe." "Then wait," the girl said. He looked up. "For what?" "For your hands to remember." He stared at them, fingers calloused and cracked. The girl walked to him, took his palm in hers. "You held me once." He didn't speak. You can again. The wife stepped beside them. We don't have to understand it. We just have to hold it, the girl said. Outside, the wind died. Inside, the house finally felt full, not with answers, but with presence. The forge hadn't been lit in days, not since the badge went cold, not since the girl spoke her name, and the truth finally stayed spoken. The coals sat black, the bellows still. The blacksmith hadn't struck a thing since that night. His hands were clean now, but somehow they looked older, as if all the heat had left them too. Inside, the wife moved quiet through the house, baby on her hip, the girl at her side. No one called her strange anymore. No one asked her where she came from. She just belonged now, not with explanation, but with weight, the kind you don't question. The girl followed the wife room to room, not like a child seeking approval, but like a shadow learning where the light touches. She touched nothing. She carried nothing, but every space she stood in felt fuller than before. The sheriff hadn't come back. Not a word, not a knock, not a warning. His horse was found tied to the river fence 3 days ago. Saddle empty, reins clean, badge never reclaimed. The wife kept it hidden until this morning. She called no one to witness. She only opened the forge door and walked in. The girl and the blacksmith followed, silent. The forge felt smaller than it used to. The air hung thick with old heat. Though no fire burned, the tools were still, lined up like soldiers without orders. She walked to the hearth, laid the baby down in the rocker, then turned and looked at both of them. The blacksmith nodded. He didn't speak. The girl stood barefoot on the black stone. The wife held out the sheriff's badge, still coated in soot from where it had landed after the girl dropped it down the well, and it had somehow found its way back, days later, in the hearth. Unburned. She turned it over in her palm. It's cold now. Heavy. She whispered, "No more fire." The girl nodded. "No more lies." She knelt and pressed the badge into the ashes. It sank with no resistance. The baby cooked once, then stilled. The blacksmith stepped forward, held out his hand. In it, the hammer, the one he hadn't touched in days, the one that built the cradle, the one that silenced arguments, the one that once ended a man's future and sparked another's grief. He looked at the wife, then at the girl. She didn't flinch. He looked down at the hammer like it had asked something of him, and he was ready to say no. He walked to the edge of the forge, set the hammer on the stone. The clang echoed through the room, then died. No one picked it up. He stepped back, empty-handed. The wife reached for the baby, lifted him close. The girl stood at her other side. For a long time, they just stood that way. The blacksmith at the back of the forge, quiet. The girl and the child in the wife's arms. No words, just breathe. The fire had gone cold, but something else had come alive in its place. Later, the girl walked to the anvil, not to strike, not to shape. She ran her fingers across its face, felt the grooves. "The sheriff used to come here often, didn't he?" she asked softly. The blacksmith nodded. "More than needed." She looked at him. "Because he was afraid you'd tell." "I was afraid too." The wife said, "Not anymore." He nodded. "Number not anymore." The girl looked back at the ashes. "He won't be back." The wife asked, "He's gone for good?" The girl tilted her head. Number just quiet. They didn't ask what that meant. Some truths didn't need translation. Outside, a wind stirred the leaves on the porch. Inside, the cradle rocked once. The girl turned. I looked at the child. "He remembers." The wife nodded. "So do I." The blacksmith whispered, "And me." The hammer sat untouched on the stone, its shadow long in the dying light. It wouldn't be lifted again. Not for forging, not for silencing. It would stay right where it landed. The wife touched the girl's hand. "Come inside," she said. The girl hesitated. "You're not waiting anymore," the wife added. The girl nodded. They stepped out of the forge, into the fading light. The baby made a sound like a laugh and a sigh. The rocker stayed still behind them. The ashes cooled, and the hammer lay quiet. 990 words.